Hey, how's it going? Thank y'all so much for tuning into another video. If you guys have not already, go ahead and click the like button so that I know that you guys are loving the content that I am providing to you all. Also, click the subscribe button so that you are notified of whenever I am posting another video. With that being said, I'll go ahead and get straight into it. This video may be a little bit longer. This is talking about cold calling versus texting and the pros and cons of both. All right, so I'll kind of go back and forth between call and text and the pros and cons. So just stick with me. I'll try to run through them as quickly as I can, but you know, my words get a little lengthy sometimes. So let's go ahead and get started. First, with cold calling, you'll be able to verbally speak to more people. All right. It's important that you're speaking to more people compared to texting, right? When you're texting, you'll be able to reach a lot more people in a short amount of time, right? But you're able to build a lot more rapport whenever you're speaking with folks, all right? So that's something to keep in mind. If you are texting, you can text 1,000 people as far as sitting out in a couple minutes. But when it comes to calling, say 150 people, it may take you about 3 hours to do that. So something to keep in mind, but you'll be able to speak with more people by calling them, but you'll reach more people with texting. All right. And now, of course, you may be asking yourself, okay, well, when you're texting people, aren't you calling them if they're interested? Yes, you are calling them once they show interest, but majority of the people that respond to you may cuss you out via text. Leave it F alone. Get a real job. Like it gets wild. And sometimes I just laugh because I'm like, wow, this is crazy. You don't talk to people like this in real life, but this is how you get down when it comes to texting. And sometimes you get cussed out on the phone too, but just know overall, you'll be able to speak to more people when you do the actual calling. All right. Next, you'll be able to build a lot more rapport over the phone. All right, so someone may be going through some chaos, right? Baby crying, food's burning on the stove, dog barking, about to, pee on the carpet. All these things are happening, and they get a text like, hi, Bill, do you still own the property on 123 Main Street? It's like, I'll either get to that later or I'm not responding to that, right? But if that same person sees a call and they're like, hello, you're like, hi, Bill, this is Eli. It sounds like you got a lot going on. Is everything okay? Who is this? Right? Now you can kind of break their guard down a little bit. It's like, oh no, this is Bill. Or this is Eli, whatever. You can just kind of talk them down from that height that they're at. And they may say, hey, now is really not a good time. Are you buying something? Sales? Like, what is it? And you can say, hey, look, it sounds like you got a lot going on right now. I was just calling about your property. Do you mind if I call you back, say in another 30 minutes or so, right? Now, with that, you're asking their permission, all right? Or just overall, you're able to at least get some type of response on what's going on, right? You'll be able to gauge that it's just straight chaos at that point. And so you could talk to them and say, hey, look, you saw you got a lot going on. I can call you back. You don't want to push that buy or that offer right then and there. Like, hey, yeah, I was just saying if I can give you cash offer, you probably relax. Just allow them to go through their chaos and maybe do like a light joke here, there, or whatever it is, just to relax them a little bit and just let them know that, okay, I'll give you a call back later on. It sounds like you got a lot going on. Do you mind if I call you back in like 30 minutes or so? Yeah, 30 minutes is fine. Okay, cool. I'll give you a call back. So that's why it's better to get that. Cold calling has that perk over texting because you're able to really build that rapport with people. Now, when it comes to texting, you'll get a higher response from individuals, all right? So a higher response rate. When you're cold calling, most people, you'll realize, they just straight up won't answer their phone, right? They won't answer their phone because they don't recognize the number. Versus texting, the text, it says, hi, Bill. This is Eli. Do you still own the property on 123 Main Street? All right. So by putting that out there, you're able to at least they'll know exactly what you're reaching out to them for. They can choose to respond. In most cases, they'll just be like, no, leave me alone, do not call, take me off your list, whatever. But you'll get more responses versus when you cold calling, they'll just straight up look at the phone and be like, no thanks. All right. So that's that. Next, you will get more leads per name or per dial, right? Cold calling, right? So if you called 1,000 people, you will get more leads from calling 1,000 people than texting 1,000 people, all right? The reason why you'll get, I'll say, more leads overall from texting is because you could just 2 minutes later, send out 1,000 messages and then just monitor it throughout the day. But to get through 1,000 people, I mean, that takes about 2 weeks to do that. You get what I'm saying? So that's why I would say, as far as rates, you can still get 1 to 2 leads a day if you're calling 150 people. But when you're texting 1,000 people, you're getting about 2 to 3. So yes, you're getting 2 to 3 leads versus 1 to 2, but look how many people you went through. So that's something to keep into consideration as well. All right. Also, that's cold calling. A benefit over texting is it's cheaper to do. You get your list, skip trace, and you're calling, right? Versus texting. I mean, if you're going by hand, I mean, you're not going to get through a lot of people anyway. But if you're using these softwares to where you can text a large group of people, it does get a little expensive over time to text. So I would recommend, if you're going to be marketing to these potential sellers and you're on like a shoestring budget, I would definitely say start off with cold calling and you'll be able to graduate into texting. But if you have a little bit of a marketing budget, and you're able to, spend say a couple $1,000 a month or so for marketing, then I would definitely look into texting as well, because you'll just be able to reach a lot more people and just get the deals, leads flowing a lot sooner than you would with cold calling. So those are pros. So now let's go into the cons of those. So I'm not sure if I mixed that up. Those are the pros. Now let's go into the cons. All right. So for the cons, I'll start off with cold calling. All right, so with cold calling, it depends on how you view it. There's a lot of downtime in between calls, all right? So depending on the platform that you're using, the way that it's set up is it basically runs and you're just sitting there sometimes for a couple minutes and then you get a hello, like, oh, hey, how you doing? So sometimes that's what you're gonna be going through. And as a matter of fact, that's most of the callers that you'll be doing. So it's just a bunch of sitting until you hear a hello. So something to keep in mind. All right, again, compared to texting, yes, it could be a little bit more action packed. Yes, it may take some time for responses to happen, but once you send out 1,000, I would recommend dividing that up into about 200 to 300 at a time. Waiting about an hour or so and then, responding, because once you send out that 1,000, you get the initial like, no, F you, leave me alone, blah, blah, you suck. And then you get an occasional, well, how much are you offering? Like, oh yes, I do sell in that property. And you'll be able to respond from there. All right, but again, con for texting, it gets expensive. All right, expensive. All right, next up, cold calling. Have you ever gotten a call and it says potential scam or scam likely, right? Believe it or not, sometimes as you're cold calling, your number may show up as scam likely, okay? Your number may show up as potential scam, all right? So I've used different dollars in the past. I like to use Mojo Dollar, but I'm in the middle of transitioning into another dollar. It's gonna be between Call Tools or Batch Dollar. So I'll let y'all know what my experiences are with them. The reason why I like Mojo is because there's no delay whenever you're speaking with people versus Call Tools and Batch Dollar. There's that slight delay. It bothers me so much. These slight delays, I hate them. But some of the big dogs, they use this program. So hey, if it's not too big for them, and if it's not a problem for them, it should be a problem for me. But holy crap, do I hate it. But not only is it cheaper, but it's a lot more dynamic. You can set callback times and all these different steps in between. So they're still great programs, powerful programs. But I was talking about the scam likelies. I just went on a tangent, my bad. All right, so with Mojo, you can switch out the number, but you'd have to manually switch it out before you call for that day. Whereas with call tools and programs like that, what you're able to do is just get a list of numbers, and it cycles through those numbers, and from there it lessens the chance of you having a scam or scam likely or a potential spam marking on that number. The reason why those numbers have those markings is because it'll show this number called 1,000 different numbers in 2 days. It's like, all right, that's a sales company. We're going to try to mark it as scam, spam, whatever it is. So by cycling through, well, something that would have initially been a couple thousand calls in a few days, now it turns into this number only had a couple hundred calls. This one had 100 calls. This one had 150 calls. Maybe it's normal, right? So that's the con with cold calling, but there's a way of fixing it by getting some of these other programs like the call tools to where you can have those numbers switch around. All right, and a con to texting is that not everyone has a cell phone, okay? So basically when you're talking about these older individuals that, may not have a cell phone or may not know how to text, if all you're doing is texting, then there is a large demographic that you're not gonna be able to reach because you're only going a certain way. So I would say in the most optimized way of marketing, if you're able to incorporate both, that would be ideal. So texting and calling. So again, thank you all so much for watching another video. If you found any value in what I was presenting to you, go ahead and click the like button and also subscribe to this channel so that you're notified whenever I have another video. With that being said, can't wait for y'all to get y'all first deal. Y'all take care.